The ET Now Global Business Summit has been graced by India's Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi along with other leaders like Shri Piyush Goyal and Shri Jyotiraditya Scindia, who had enlightened the audience with igniting transformative discussions and groundbreaking ideas.
साथियों, हमारी सरकार ने संवेदनशीलता के साथ लोगों की समस्याओं को समझा, जोश और जुनून के साथ उन्हें सुलझाने के लिए जरूरी कदम उठाए। आज दुनिया की तमाम स्टडीज बताती है कि बीते दशक में जो बेसिक सुविधाएं देशवासियों को मिली है, जिस तरह वो एम्पावर हुए हैं, उसके कारण ही सिर्फ 10 साल में 25 करोड़ भारतीय गरीबी से बाहर निकल आए हैं। इतना बड़ा वर्ग नियो मिडिल क्लास का हिस्सा बन गया। ये नियो मिडिल क्लास अब अपनी पहला टू व्हीलर, अपनी पहली कार, अपना पहला घर खरीदने के सपने देख रहा है। मिडिल क्लास को सपोर्ट करने के लिए इस वर्ष के बजट में भी हमने जीरो टैक्स की सीमा को 7 लाख से बढ़ाकर 12 लाख किया है।
When the US ambassador under the first Trump administration came to meet me, in the course of the conversation, my reaction to him was, I wonder why the US and India cannot expand trading relations, cannot enter into an agreement to support each other's economies. At that point of time, the general refrain used to be the Congress will not allow the United States to enter into new trading arrangements. But what the Prime Minister has brought back with him, an agreement or an understanding to enter into a trade deal by fall of this year, I think gives a lot of confidence and a lot of relief to every business person in the United States and in India who believe that together we can truly work as two friends, as two partners for progress and prosperity.
What the Prime Minister thought is that while we create that digital highway, I don't want India to be only a service nation. India must translate into a product nation. And so it was a difficult decision that he took. But when BSNL was moving down the transition from 3G to 4G, the decision was taken that we will move down that transition, inventing our own 4G stack. And mind you, people were scoffing at it. Why? Justifiably so. Because there are only 4 countries in the world that have done it successfully. But he made up his mind that we are going to do it. And so you had the most unthinkable group working together. You had CDOT, a government company, working along with Tejas, a private sector company. And then you had an SI, a system integrator, which is also an Indian company, TCS. And within 18 months, we developed our own 4G stack.
India at the helm, pioneering the AI era, was the next topic of discussion, where Saurabh Sahu, Managing Director and Lead at India Business Accenture, talked about AI and how it has revolutionized different sectors. Here are some takeaways from his session.
A lot of disruption that's taking place because of AI. Companies approaching it in different ways, different sectors. AI, generative AI, has a world of possibilities. But as far as India is concerned, to be at the helm, what is it going to take? So if we have to pioneer the entire AI push, what does India need to do here and now? That's the question I want to ask Saurabh Sahu. It's great to have him with us. What's your real sense of where they see the technology taking them? What is their primary focus?
I've been always asked this question so far also, is AI a game changer or a gimmick, right? Is it here and now, or is it some, mirage in the future? And if you look at companies today, and I'll start with India first, what do enterprises largely want? Growth, profitability, efficiencies. All these 3 areas can be impacted by AI very well. right? And we have used digital, we have used analytics in the past, which have been great incremental technologies. AI is absolutely taking it to the next level. To give you specific examples, Accenture works with the Union Bank of India. It's one of the most prestigious and largest banks in the country. And Union Bank of India is now using AI for hyper customer personalization, for fraud detection, for improving their own operations. Right? Look at your own banking experiences. How many people today are actually walking into a bank to do a transaction into the bank? Very few. So these are sectors which have essentially taken up the AI advantage very well. Effectively, I think what we are seeing is within the country, you have 3-4 sectors which have shown or led the way in terms of deploying AI. You have many who are already taking to many steps. And the same is also happening globally as well. So if you look at global examples too, whether it's the Unilever, deploying AI globally for automating its own manufacturing or warehousing operations. You have Kion, with which Accenture has done fair degree of work again. Kion and NVIDIA coming together to again automate warehousing functions. So you see a lot of these applications being used and then taking it to the next level there.
I'm just wondering, the technology is there, it's evolved and it's evolving still, of course, and we'll see a lot more possibilities under it. But to tap into the possibilities, how much of that are we doing?
Again, in terms of investments and therefore the consumption, right? And I've always said this in the past that, the time has come to create AI for India and not just AI from India. Right? We have always been a great talent base, a great skill hub, but how do you essentially spur in consumption and therefore adoption within the country? That obviously will come in terms of the number of applications at scale. Right? So this is where I think private sectors will have to play a great role in terms of investing ahead of the curve and creating adoption at scale and to explore the various possibilities. Let's look at the gradation of the various applications today. We spoke about examples of AI done by the government. We spoke about various sectors which are already creating those applications there, whether it is banking, retail, etc. The next set of applications which can be large scale in nature, you're talking about autonomous vehicles, you're talking about robotic surgeries, you're talking about telemedicine, you're talking about remote agriculture, precision agriculture, discrete manufacturing. These are sectors which are very, very ripe for the near future for adoption of AI, which can really have a huge explosion in terms of AI there. And when these things happen and we have the right ecosystem created, you have, despite the funding winter, which I think the world saw a few quarters back, you have huge number of startups where AI investments are happening, and therefore this is the next wave of applications which will spur the next level of AI growth.
Yes, but at this point in time, like I said, the tools are available. But to be able to adopt it, what are the impediments to growth?
I would not rather call it impediments, but let's say triggers,
Okay.
which can probably take to a point about increasing consumption or India leading the world. Is I think 3 aspects: value, people, and democratization. I think the 3 areas where we can unlock this entire potential of AI.
Then why are conversations today so much about AI making jobs redundant? Why are we not moving past that? Because here we are talking about the immense potential, but we seem to be holding back on this possibility as well, and there is so much of the fear that is weighing in.
So I would not say that it is holding us back or a constraint. I would say it is a bit of a, I would say, cautious optimism that we are adopting. And look at it this way. I read somewhere when calculators came in, you had the mathematics professors all over the world up in arms, saying that, okay, this is going to disrupt everything, and the likes of it. Calculators have, therefore, they evolved into computers and they've coexisted. With any new technologies, there will obviously be a sense of caution to say how it is going to impact. AI for jobs, I think the thinking is very clear. AI is meant to augment humans. Right? It is a combination of AI plus humans that will always be the frontiers going forward. Yes, there could be few jobs which can get more automated. Percentage of automation can go up, and therefore you have those skills which can be redeployed. AI is also therefore creating new jobs. I think that's where we need to also look at the other side of the coin.
Give us a sense of the kind of jobs that you see happening now. And are you helping companies being able to do that as well?
So let me take an example of GenAI. What is the best application of GenAI today which all of us use? ChatGPT. You use ChatGPT or any GenAI technology, what is the biggest trigger? You type in a question for which you want an answer, right? The question that you type in is called a prompt. Okay, now you have a next generation of jobs being created on prompt engineering. If you ask the right questions, you will get the right answers. If you don't ask the right question, you will not get the right answer. Right? So you have prompt engineers coming in today, which you never existed before.
Right.
That's a great jobs and skills
So
that will
can't AI teach me to do that as well?
Yes, of course it can.
It can, right?
Yes, of
So
course.
then that job also becomes redundant?
Gets enhanced because then you have, again, as I said, AI can be a learner, AI can be a teacher.
Yes, but which can I do a better job of? Because that's really going to tell me what the future holds.
Are you a better student or a better teacher?
Well, it's a good question. It's a very good question. I'll have to think about that one. But yeah, I mean, we're constantly learning, but the technology, like you said, is ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the possibilities are far more than what our skills bring to the table. That's what you said.
Correct.
So if that's always going to be the case,
Yeah.
is technology always going to be ahead of us?
I don't think so. So I think today, today I would say if you have to do a balance, learning will be more important than teaching today, right? Because we have to then adopt to the scale of innovation and the technology which is happening, and that is where learning and skilling is extremely important. But as we go further down the line and we are able to tame this technology in some manner, it'll always balance itself out like it has for any other technologies.
And if you were talking to students and entrepreneurs all at the same time and telling them, there is this piece of advice I need to share with you about AI and its adoption, what would that advice be?
Stay hungry, stay foolish.
And AI gives you the tools to do just that,
I
right?
guess that.
Yes,
Yeah. The legendary
exactly.
Steve Jobs dialogue, I think, applies more than anything to this space.
That's
stay
right.
Stay hungry, stay foolish.
That's right. So this is fascinating. I mean, the possibilities, again, they are humongous. With that hope that India is able to lead the charge in early adoption and be in charge when it comes to the regulatory framework. And we are constantly seeing companies being able to deliver on that count. More of them coming together and collaborating is going to be a key aspect of this as well. So all in all, fascinating discussion. We wish you great luck, Saurabh Sahu, in your journey
Thank you,
in
sir.
AI as well. Such a
Thanks
pleasure
for
having
having
you
me.
here.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
In another thought-provoking panel discussion, Anil Kumar SG, the founder and CEO at Samunnati Agri Value Chain Solutions Private Limited, participated in an engaging panel discussion where he spoke on the aftermath of climate change and what remedial steps can bring respite.
Climate is not an esoteric subject for discussions on the table anymore. We are seeing it day in and day out. And what are the risks that the climate change is bringing? One, unseasonal rainfall. Two, the mean temperatures on both sides, the variation of the temperatures. Three, the impact of the indiscriminate use of chemicals on the larger human health, and hence an imperative of the health bills going up. Each of these data points in isolation would mean different, but when you put it together, then the problem is enormously big. Add to that the growing populations. Very soon we'll be a double-digit billion population on this planet. So this problem pertains to the planet, not to the country. 10 billion population, 60 to 70% of agriculture still rain-fed. Add to that unseasonal rainfall. If you don't have rainfall when you need the seed to germinate, to a rainfall when there is a flowering season, it's debilitating. So your productivity of agriculture on account of climate has already fallen by 21%, notwithstanding anything else. How do you feed the 10 billion population when you know that the problem is already up there? And fortunately or unfortunately, agriculture is both the contributor and the victim of the climate. So unless we sit up and take sustainability as a theme that all of us should be cognizant of, there is a wonderful event that is happening at Hyderabad between Heartfulness Institute at Hyderabad as well as UNCCD, where sustainability is going to the classrooms now, where children are being told as to the relevance of climate in agriculture and the sustainable practices to save the planet, not only for this generation, but for future generations. Gone are the days where we can only talk about mitigation. Now adaptation has become much more relevant because it's right in our doorstep and we need to deal with it. So the more we talk about it, and as they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant, put the light on the problem. Let all of us talk about it so that solution will surely emerge.
Later on, Anil Kumar SG took the center stage and opined on the topic of climate-smart agriculture solutions, advancing economic development and sustainability. He also briefed about his company, Samunnati Agri Value Chain Solutions Private Limited.
We at Samunnati exist to make markets work for smallholder farmers. Markets, smallholder farmers are core of what we engage, and we believe in market-based solutions to be able to address these issues. As a group, Samunnati is working on providing access to markets, access to finance, and access to advisory services to agri enterprises on both the demand and supply chain of the agri value chains, as well as farmers collectivized as farmer cooperatives, farmer producer organizations. Agriculture is both the victim as well as the contributor to the GHG emissions. All of us are familiar with this. We are also contributing significant amount of greenhouse gas emissions, but the green shoot, since we are in agriculture, that we have to be cognizant of is we are also sequestering a little over 1/5, 22% of the overall GHGs that we are emitting are being sequestered back. The problem of carbon is an important dimension to understand. Excess carbon in the air and depleting or loss of carbon in the soil is an important dimension to address. And we are seeing some promising solutions here to be able to address. First and foremost, we are happy to be associated with entities that are in the production and proliferation of biochar, basically the farm-waste residue that gets burnt in a process called pyrolysis, activate that using ingredients and make that into a biochar and put it back into the soil so that the soil vitality and soil fertility goes up. And that carbon in the soil remains for 1,000 years. Thank you very much.
We're here on the sidelines of the Global Business Summit 2025, and I'm in conversation with Anil Kumar SG. Anil, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you, Pooja. It's my privilege as well to be here.
Sir, if I were to ask you to look back in time and then fast forward as well, how has agri-tech evolved in this country, and what are some of the most transformative trends that you anticipate will take shape in the future?
Right. Thank you for asking that question, because what we are seeing is unprecedented in the agriculture space indeed. And as we see it, there are three trends that are very, very critical in agriculture and its capacity to feed the 10 billion population that we are looking at.
Such as?
Globally. One, the advent of technology to solve some of the core problems in agriculture, whether it is monitoring or productivity or processing.
Sure.
Now, the advent of technology being accentuated by youngsters looking at solving these problems and becoming entrepreneurs, and the role of the agtech startups in the agriculture is another big trend that we are seeing, which is going to solve many problems that are in agriculture in terms of the sector as a whole. And the third one is the flow of private capital to back these startups in agriculture. Combination of all these three is paving way to look at agriculture as a sector that can provide a viable and sustainable solutions to feed the population of this country while preserving the planet for future generations. That's what I would see.
Well, sir, very heartening words, very inspiring to hear that. But let's take the conversation a bit closer to home, right? You have ambitious plans of impacting 1 in every 4 farming families by the year 2027, which is around the corner. What's it going to take to make that happen?
Well, first let me tell you what the word Samunnati means. It's a combination of two words in Sanskrit, Sama and Unnati, which is collective growth, collective prosperity and collective elevation. A sector like agriculture cannot be solved by any one company or one initiative or one agency,
Right.
even if it is policy and the government. It requires a collaborative effort of everyone putting their might behind to solve the problems that are relevant
No
to
one
agriculture.
succeeds in isolation.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. So collaboration is a virtue that we have to unlock in a sector like agriculture. Now, if you see agri ecosystem, broadly speaking, and this is how Samunnati views the agri ecosystem, it contains broadly 6 elements or 6 sectors. One is the entire inputs as a sector, which goes into cultivation as a process. Then the post-harvest, the entire output as a segment, where after harvest what happens to the agri produce.
Sure.
Third is the entire financial services sector, which provides the much needed financial working capital and the financial resources for agriculture as a sector. Sure. Then comes an important role that the government plays in enabling policies and enabling schemes that would accentuate the agriculture as a sector. And then let us not undermine the role of the resource institutions like ICAR or Swaminathan Foundation, the research institutions that are constantly looking at addressing some of the requirements of agriculture, whether it is to increase productivity or to mitigate the risks. Last but not the least, the entire agtech and startup space that has come in, which is looking at solving some of the niche problems, whether it is on remote sensing or monitoring the crops or providing much needed advisory services to the farmers.
Right.
Now, if this is the landscape that we are looking at, now each of these sectors are behemoths in themselves in terms of the size of the sector, and now put the farmer in the mix. Now, majority of Indian farmers are smallholder farmers where their land holding is less than 2 hectares. Now, a smallholder farmer requiring what his small land holding would need will have to collaborate with each of these large sectors as an individual farmer.
Sure.
Now, see the challenge.
That's an uphill task.
And first and foremost, agriculture is time-bound activity.
Right.
You have to basically look at providing everything within the space of when the cultivation happens, whether you need your urea or a weedicide or a pesticide or seeds.
It's deeply cyclical, it's deeply seasonal.
And everybody needs everything at the same place,
Right.
same time, right? Now, post-harvest, with the dimension of the demand supply kicking in, right? When you want to sell the produce is when the prices are the cheapest.
Sure.
Because everybody is harvesting at the same time. How do we deal with selling the produce at a later date by retaining the liquidity that I need by selling it now? Right. So that's the output conundrum. Third, banks in India have this requirement of providing specific quantity or quantum of their total credit that they have to agriculture, the priority sector lending requirements. And RBI has beautifully put together a structure of making sure that agriculture gets its required resources from banks. Now, banks have to have a channel designed to be able to reach out beyond the Kisan credit card, because the flow of agri credit for working capital is still very low.
Limited.
And investment credit in agriculture has to significantly go up. Now, that's the role that banks have. And banks basically are looking at how do I reach out to more and more farmers.
Right.
Government schemes, some of the fascinating schemes require a last mile connect to be able to deploy. And how do we basically match the demand and supply of the beneficiaries of the scheme requiring the schemes and the provider of the scheme, which is the government both at the state and center, having the ability to reach out to the beneficiaries.
Right.
Significant amount of research is happening, which requires the last mile connection in terms of deployment.
Right.
How do I again bring in the dimension of making sure that the research finally hits the road at the implementation level so that the value unlock happens for the user.
Right.
And of course, the agtechs we spoke about, they require both the distribution as well as the scale that the startups would require. Now, if you see all of this is my last point, if you see all of this, there is a need for an entity that orchestrates the engagement of the smallholder farmer with the rest of the agri ecosystem seamlessly. We are looking at unlocking this opportunity that exists by being the orchestrator, by being this Zubin Mehta or the A.R. Rahman of agriculture, to be able to harmonize the engagement of smallholder farmer. And this, we believe, is best done when we work with the collectives.
Your optimism is very heartening to hear, and we wish you all the continued success for the journey that lies ahead.
Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure being here. Thank you.